accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. In the event that we are required to adjourn into executive session or closed session, I will cite the section at that time. You now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item will be roll call, and I'll just go through the roll. Darrell Owens.
Here.
Maria Douglas.
Here.
Andrew Bisco. Here. John Clark here. Felicia Moody.
Here.
Sean Glovier. Here. Ms. Villa Gomez is absent. She had a death in her family, and we express our condolences to her and her family. Next items are public comments on items on the agenda. I don't see anyone has signed up for those. We then have public comments on items not on the agenda. I see no one has signed up for those. That will move us to item 5, special district recognitions. Mr. G. Wait for our presentation to show up. Maybe. There we go. We start on time, we're not late yet.
I can start with the Paw Awards, so I'll start with by reading those. So for this month's Paw Awards, Untitled High School, Coach Rodiker, Keisha Browning, Katie McBroom, Richard Barrett, Shannon Johnson. The Junior High, Ariel Shields, Charity Simmons, Debbie Webb, Jennifer McCoy, Meredith Locke, Michelle Springs, Pam Wonky Elysius, Taylor Vaughn, and Tyler Broadhurst. At Arthur, we have Ashley Rogers, Coach Stevens, Glenn Sharp, Christy Merle, Leanne Vaughn, Maggie Immo, Melissa Aguilar, Michelle Applewhite, Rosie Sandoval, Sarah Brockett, and Viola McLaughlin. At Patterson Elementary, we have Angela Hamilton, Katie Hooper, Delaney Michelle Keller. At Central Office, Eileen Mode, and Michael Gein. I will say that I put Eileen Mode and Michael Gein in because in the middle of the night, whenever we've had natural disasters hit, they're the ones that are out there making sure that our district is going to be operational the next day. So kudos to those two for waking me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, when things go bad. All right. Ready to roll? Okay. All right, so our Lady Cat track team, I think everyone is well aware by now, is our 2021 UIL state champion, so let's give them a huge We have them in attendance tonight to be recognized, so we will bring them up shortly to go through all their accomplishments. In the long jump, first place was Brianna Brand. Triple jump, fourth place was Brianna Brand. 100 meter, fourth place, Brianna Brand. And 100 meter, fifth place, Skylar Lewis. The 400 meter, fourth place was Grayson Reed. 4x1 relay ran 46.9 for first place. That's Dakota Saipo. Skylar Lewis, Alexius Jenkins, and Brianna Brand. The 4x2 relay ran a 138.9 for first place. Dakota Saipo, I hope I'm saying that right. Alea Claiborne, Skylar Lewis, and Brianna Brand. And our 4x4 relay ran a 355.6 for first place. And Nija Martin, Alexius Jenkins, Alea Claiborne, and Grayson Reed. And I think that's, how often does one team win all three relays in state, Coach? Not very often. So we won all three relays and accumulated a huge amount of points. And the closest team was how many points away? 14 points away. And,
The 2019 returning champs came.
and also competing at the state track meet was Betty Bajika, Brianna, well, that's the team, sorry, but Betty Bajika also ran. Is there anybody else on there that I didn't name, Coach?
No, so Betty Bajika did run the 3200, and Jordan Nelson is our triathlon manager.
Okay, all right. So I want to congratulate them. If you will all please come down, and we will take a quick picture over here and give you some more applause. All right.
Hold for
Parents,
family.
hold for
Oh,
parents.
yeah, family. Here, parents?
All right. So our girls did really well. We also want to applaud our coaches, Coach Bryant, Coach Wingfield, for their efforts to sit there through a very tough year to make sure that our girls were able to compete at a very high level. So applause to them. Also, Coach Wingfield was named Texas Association of Girls Coaches, Coach Association Coach of the Year.
Hey.
So, lots of good things, and it was a great way to wrap up the year. We had a big celebration with our staff today about all the positive things, and this was most definitely one of the very positive things this year. So, thank you all for all of your efforts. Okay, so we have, as I said, just finished up awards today with our staff, but some other people who really came through this year in a very difficult year were our substitutes. And we really wanted to honor and appreciate the ones that we feel like went above and beyond for our district. So I'll go through the list. I know we have a few here in attendance. So Alan Hatfield. Ms. King has some gifts that we want to give to each of you. Mr. Hatfield worked 86.5 days and has worked in our district for 8 years. So let's give Mr. Hatfield a Lee Scott. Is Lee Scott here?
He is not.
Okay. He worked 78.5 days and has worked in our district for 3 years. So we'll give him a round of applause. Elizabeth Brooks. Ms. Brooks has worked 75 days for us this year and has worked in our district for 10 years. Shannon Haley, she's not here, but she has worked 63 days and 3 years of service for our district. Amy Shaman was 59 days and 7 months in our district. Julia Kendall, 56.5 days and 2 years of service to the district. Diana Fuentes. Diana worked 56.5 days. She's been working in our district for 5 months. That's a lot of time in a short period of time. Ellen Vandergriff, 51.5 days and 4 years of service in our district. Claudia Cruz, 50.5 days and 5 months in our district. Hope I said this right. Jana Sirwayne? Sarwine. All right, sorry about that. She has worked 50.5 days, and she has had 5 years of service in our district. If we could get all of you to come down, and we will take a picture over here on the side. Know that people know how big of an accomplishment that really is, because in this world, and we went into this school year, we were uncertain how many subs we were going to be needing and how often we were going to be needing them. So they really provided a great service for our district this year. So thank you all again. I believe that is it for the awards.
Hometown Heroes?
Is that all the awards? Oh, no. I'm sorry, the big one. I'm sorry. Dr. Devlin, would you like to come join me?
She's looking for a pink slip.
Can everybody hear okay?
Yes.
So, about a year and a half ago, we had a meeting with our local churches, right? And we had an outreach where we were working to sit there and really work towards, building a partnership where we had our local churches helping our local families, and our students. So Dr. Devlin and I sit and visited, and we came up with 2 individuals. One of them is here tonight, but 2 individuals who we felt like really exemplify what came out of those meetings. And if you'd like to tell us about that. Put you on the spot.
So throughout this year, which has been very challenging for many, we've had some amazing community members who've reached out and helped our families, our staff, our students. One of those being here this evening is Lori Sanders, who for anything that we needed, clothing, anything that through her church she could provide, text message away, and then she was there opening up her clothes closet at any time beyond the hours that they're normally open for our families after the snowstorm, throughout the pandemic, and so forth. And so we just so appreciate you and all the things that you've done for our families, our counselors, our staff, and you're one of our hometown heroes. And so we have a certificate here for you this evening. Two great people. Thank you.
Come on down.
Here, I got a walker. I'll get close. I'll get close.
And our other hometown hero who could be here this evening, Mr. Gary Mitchell, who's also been very accessible with any
you have everything on file? Do you have it? Everything on file? Okay. We now move on to item 6, personnel issues. 6A is resignations and retirements.
We have a list of those.
Everyone should have the list in your packet as far as the
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys.
And that's informational only. Does anyone have any issues? All right. Then item 6B is hiring of personnel. You have information in your packet regarding those individuals who've been hired. Any issues? See none. Move on to 6C. Mr. G, probationary contracts. Do you have any explanation on that? There were 2 employees who were omitted from the April board meeting for certification, Kimberly Barella and Mariah Matthews. We just have information on that. There's no action needed on those that I can tell. Okay. Catch up?
My screen is off.
Yeah.
All right, so, just going,
6C, and 6D is,
I think everything's self-explanatory.
okay. Then item 6D is term contract renewal. We have only 1 employee who needs that renewal.
That already contacted, so I can see it. There's really, it's just informational. And then E, I was going to ask if we could go into closed session pertaining to something.
Okay. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to?
Well, our next item is also a closed session.
Okay.
Item, I believe, because board realignment, we'll go into closed session on that, so do 6E and 7A in that.
There'll be a consent agenda after that. Do you need anyone here for anything on the consent agenda?
Maybe.
Maybe Jenny? All right, then we will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071. We are reconvening into regular session at 8:06 following completion of executive session at 8:04. With regard to the agenda, I do not believe there's any items as a result of executive session on item 6. Is that my understanding from the board? Right, then we'll move on to 7A, discussion of realigning board officer positions. And this is where we're selecting our officers, so it's just up to someone to make nominations. We'll open nominations to start with on board president. So if you have a nomination for board president, please state it.
Chair, I'll make a nomination that John Clark be nominated for board president.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, a motion for John Clark and seconded for John Clark. Are there other further nominations with regard to board president?
Who was the second?
Seconded by, I hear no other nominations. All those in favor of naming John Clark board president for the upcoming year, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair hears none, and the chair does not vote. That motion passes, then 5-0. Then I'll open the floor for nominations with regard to vice president.
I make a motion for Mr. Bisco to serve as vice president. A second.
Motion by Ms. Moody and seconded by Ms. Douglas. Are there further nominations for vice president? I will close the nominations for vice president. All those in favor of naming Andrew Bisco vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair hears none. That motion passes unanimously 6-0. Then I'll open the floor for nominations for board.
5-0.
Oh, you do, I'm sorry, Mr. Bisco is saying 5-0. Apologize. Then I'll open the floor for nominations for board secretary.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Daryl Owens for the position of secretary.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Douglas and second by Mr. Glover. Are there further nominations for secretary? The chair hears none, and all those in favor of the nomination of Daryl Owens as secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I assume Mr. Owens abstained.
Correct.
That motion passes 5-0.
Who was the second by, again, please?
Ms.
Clover.
Glover did, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you did. Let me try Glover.
All right, thank you.
That moves us to item 7B, discuss and approve E-rate networking cabling.
Hello. So last spring, we voted to select a vendor for an E-rate project, and I'll back up a little bit. In fall of 2019, I guess it was, Mr. G had asked to put together kind of a 5-year plan for all of the things, really. In part of my department, we were looking at a network infrastructure refresh, and the foundation for that is cabling. And that's the wiring that connects all of the switches together. It's when you plug into a wall and connect your computer, and then the cabling, fiber optic cables that connect the switches to switches, and then to the wireless access points. It's pretty much everything. So the cabling that's in place right now has been here since the beginning, and it's kind of evolved with there wasn't really a master network plan. And it's just the age and the timing. At the time, they did what every other school district was doing. We're all kind of building up and growing with technology all together, but now there's a lot of cable that's in the ceilings, and some of it that's not being used. Some of it it's just kind of tangled up, and likely the materials itself won't support the speeds also that current technology is able to deliver. So it's just aged. It's time to replace it, and this would be the first part of the next the overall project of replacing the infrastructure, where we would put the switches in place, and having the cabling there first will let us kind of take full advantage of the new switches and equipment that'll actually be running all of it. So this is like a foundation.
And switching out the cabling now allows this cabling should last for another 25 years.
Correct. That's the assumption. The project that's coming in, the material it all has a 25-year warranty on it. The E-rate project itself, it's a program that it's a discount program, and it's based off of the number of free and reduced lunches that the district provides, and our district gets a 60% discount, so our piece of it is 40%. In that quote that I provided in the documentation, so the E-rate rules for 2020 were based on campus rather than district-wide, which is another reason cabling made a lot of sense to go first, because you're not going to move cables that are in the walls from one campus to another. They've changed the rules, so when we do the switches, we'll absolutely be able to move them from one campus to another without E-rate problems. So anyway, each campus had an allotment for E-rate. There was some where we came up under, and then some where E-rate didn't quite cover it. And so that's what you see, the line items that say non-E-rateable. That's to finish the job, but it'll be, we pay regular price for those. But it's a pretty small portion compared to the overall project, but I think worth it to get the performance and the benefits that we're after. Are there any questions? So what we're asking for is for your approval to actually move ahead. The last time we selected a vendor, and this time we're actually looking to move forward and approve the purchasing of the cabling and the project, and get started.
Any questions?
This has already been budgeted for?
I think there's an amendment in this particular, but I think I'm speaking for, but I think this was kind of carved out when we first started talking about the project, and I think it's part of the amendment that's in tonight's agenda as well, to actually make the funds available.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion with regard to approving the network cabling installation project for all campuses using the E-rate program for funding year 2020.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the network cabling installation project for all campuses using the E-rate program for funding year 2020.
Motion by Mr. Owens,
Second.
second by Ms. Douglas. Is there further discussion? Chair hears none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair hears none. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you. We now move to item 7C, which is consideration of additions, deletions, local policies reflected under TASB policy service recommendations.
Chair, I make a motion that we remove from the consent agenda items DK local/X and bring it up at a later date.
There's a motion to remove one specific item to be addressed at a later date. Is there anyone that's able to second that motion?
DK local.
It relates to hiring a campus administrator, having a spouse or other person related to them on their campus.
It reads as related to each other, not be assigned to positions on the same campus if either holds an administrative position. And the proposal is that that be deleted.
Just, well, I think you're asking to bring it up at a later meeting.
Yes, that's
Just
correct.
bring the consent agenda to be addressed at a later meeting with more detail.
Okay, I second that.
A motion by Ms. Douglas to remove that item and seconded by Ms. Moody. Any further discussion on that one removal? Chair hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair hears none. That motion is removed from consent agenda. That would then bring us to the remainder of the consent agenda.
Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was just for that one
Right.
policy, right?
Right.
So we could now go through the rest of it?
If you'd like to go through the
Okay,
rest of it,
so-
yes.
I don't know,
You're
if
saying-
this is for,
So I'm sorry, I'm wrong on this. This is on a separate item. I said consent agenda. It's not consent agenda. This is item 7C,
7C is next.
just discussing the TASB review. So it's open
Okay,
for discussion
so
on
open
those
for
issues.
discussion.
Sorry.
So the one for CO local that talks about the meals, as established by the board, a student with exhaustive insufficient balance on his or her meal card shall be allowed to continue purchase meals for up to $10, and it used to say 2 days. But it doesn't address the students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. So can we, not for free lunch, but for reduced lunch? Because the school lunches are expensive. And if $10 means, like, if I'm struggling as a parent and my child comes to school and needs to eat, that's like 2 days. It really is, well, we'll stretch it to 3, but it's like 2 days. So if we can say, if they don't qualify for free or reduced lunch, then they have to pay, but something different if they qualify for a reduced lunch, because the free students, they're already gonna get. So if it's something like 20 lunches for reduced, or $20 if you're on a reduced,
I don't even know that what is the breakdown difference between free and reduced rate? I don't know.
so free means
You get it regardless.
you don't pay
Right,
anything.
right.
And the reduced means like if lunch is $3.50, you may pay
I just wonder what the cost is.
$2.50 or
Yeah, I just wonder
one-
what that cost difference is. I don't know that.
I don't know I don't know what it is in Kennedale,
Does anyone know?
so free
Mr.
and
Adams?
reduced lunch, or reduced lunch. Just for the parents who may be actually struggling so the kids can eat, and then, yes, they're gonna pay the bill later, but
So the question was, what is the price of meals right now?
There's a distinction between free and reduced rate. Do we know what the different breakdown is?
Well, a free, the student pays zero.
Right.
Reduced, don't hold me to this, but I think it's 40 cents. Is that correct?
40
The
cents
regular
per-
price meals are what?
Well, it depends on which campus, but,
So at 40 cents, you're talking about, can't do the math in my head.
That's
there would be
10
several,
divided by 40
there'd be
is-
several days worth of food,
Yeah.
It's
to get it.
like a week? Is that? I
more
mean,
than a week.
So, I mean, what timing do you think is?
well, I just wanted, if it's, like, if we can put in, if you're reduced, if you pay, if you're not reduced, you have to pay within the 2 days. But if you're on reduced, then you can have the $10. I think it should be stipulated between free and reduced.
Right now, nobody's paying for meals this year, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
this year, everybody
And
gets
then
to
the
eat,
next
but it's
year-
Next
really
year,
looking-
everybody's free again.
Right.
Everybody's gonna be free again.
Everybody's
so-
free next year?
Yes.
So,
Is that an advance notice
really,
of
this
every
is just,
year?
this is more of a aligning it with TASB, what TASB recommendations are, what other districts are doing. So this is where.
I just wanna make sure our kids get to eat. And the
Well-
parents don't have to worry about, you get this bill, like you see it on the news, the kids get this bill and they're not able to eat. Then the school district looks horrible, cause you're not feeding the children
No.
that you're supposed to take care of, so I just
We
wanna make sure.
provide a grilled cheese sandwich.
Regardless.
Regardless if
Okay.
they're at their, they're maxed out and have no
They
money on
still
their
get to eat.
account,
That's what I mean.
we will provide them a meal.
Okay.
I will say, we're never gonna turn away children.
Yeah, but this is policy, so even if
Yeah,
we're not
it's-
sitting in these seats and
Somebody
somebody
else.
else is, that's what I'm looking at.
So
Okay.
with that explanation, are you
That's
comfortable?
good, yep, I'm
All
good
right.
with that one.
Next issue.
I have another question. For the students to be retained, this is EIE. This is just point of clarity for me. So we have the grade placement committee, and then the grade placement committee says, yes, this child is going to be retained. And then that's the decision from the campus. This one, I'm looking for it. I know, mine's down now. So it says, a student will not be promoted to the next grade, a student not promoted to the next grade shall remain at the same campus or be assigned to a similar campus. But that's after the grade placement committee has met to determine that this child will be retained?
Mr. Chair, can you clarify which one we're discussing?
Dr. Devlin,
It's EIE local, and it's hard to find by page number. It is, it starts with curriculum mastery, is the first page of that. And it's midway on that first page where it talks about grades 2 through 6, promotion to the next grade level shall be based on an average of 70 on a scale of 100.
I believe the part you're referencing is talking about reassignment of students to campuses for larger school districts. If you were to have more than one campus, at a junior high or high school, whereas they revised it to our size, where we don't have another high school, therefore that's typically reassigned based on the position. Is that the part you're referencing? And then we align our mastery expectations locally to second grade and eighth grade as well.
I think that the secondary she made a statement that would the committee have already made the determination of retention prior to this policy affecting them? And I didn't, it's not in this policy. Is there a committee that reviews placement of children when they're retained?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Same through eighth grade.
right, okay, that's my point of clarity.
It's-
If the
and it's-
committee meets, they
Yes.
decide to retain the child, and that's that.
It's not within this policy.
Okay,
It's
very good.
freestanding, yes.
All right, thank you, those are my only questions.
Okay. Are there other items within the TASB review policy that need further discussion? I see none. Then we'll entertain a motion with regard to the local policies, save and accept that item removed for discussion at a later date. We're ready for a motion, yes.
I make a motion to add, revise, or delete policies as indicated on the summary of recommendations resulting from the policy review that was conducted on April 7th, with the exception of
The one motion, the one item removed.
the one item removed from our discussion.
Motion by Ms. Moody. Good job.
Second.
Second by Mr. Owens. Is there further discussion on this item? chair hears none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair hears none either. That motion passes unanimously. We move on to item 7D, which is our scorecard discussion.
Which came out of the committee meetings. This was the proposed version that came out from those meetings, and basically you will be adopting the beliefs, the mission, vision, goals, and the belief statements, and along with the board goals and the lagging measures for the first column, second column.
I think most of us were at those meetings, and we've hashed the language back and forth. Now's our time to make our final hash outs and get it right if we have any questions. So does anyone have any concerns with the language that is contained on the proposal that's set for us in our packet? The chair is not hearing any concerns with that. Are there any other items within the scorecard that you have concerns or questions about, or other items that you wish to discuss to change? Understand, this is a beginning document. It's gonna change, so I don't think we have to expect it to be everything at once. The chair hears none. Is there any further discussion on this item? Then I'll entertain a motion with regard to the scorecard as presented.
I make a motion to approve the KISD scorecard as presented.
Motion by Mr. Glovier,
Second.
second by Mrs. Douglas. Is there further discussion? The chair hears none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair hears none. That motion passes unanimously. We now move on to item 8, which is our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion. Is there any board member who wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion individually?
I don't want to remove it, I just have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So the report of authority, and I asked Mr. G, and he sent me the information, thank you. So that just means that Mr. Adams will bring us information about the mutual funds?
Mr. Adams. Basically, every month we get different things to invest in.
Okay.
Right now, the investment rates are so low that we're making no money off of our money at all. So he's just looking at other opportunities to explore, to invest money.
I'm not gonna invest all of our money in one thing.
Oh, I know.
It's gotta be safe and secure.
Yes, you're very
I
frugal.
have moved $5 million over into some commercial paper stuff that's a little riskier than the government funds that we've been investing in.
So then it would be just a part of the report, like if we make any money, it will be reported in the report that you give us, and,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, we have certain rules. I can't invest in anything that doesn't have a AAA rating.
okay.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it very carefully as to what I invest in, because I don't wanna come tell you that we lost money.
We both have to go through certification training
That's
for
right.
investment training for the district. So we both have to go through that each 10 hours every
2 years.
2 years. So
That's my clarification.
Okay.
Are there other items that have questions or concerns with regard to consent agenda?
I'd move to postpone the discussion on foreign exchange student waiver to a later date.
I second that.
There's a motion to remove from the consent agenda the foreign exchange student waiver. Motion by Mr. Glovier and a second by Ms. Douglas. Is there further discussion on this item? My first question is, does this have an impact on anything we have to deal with now if we don't have the waiver in place at this time?
We have to have board approval for the waiver, so, and then CA can take that as we don't open it back.
So if we delay to June, for example, is that cutting us too close?
It could be, just the way it's all is
guess, can we have some understanding of the reason for the concern and request for movement?
I guess the point of information would be, and we discussed this via email, of course, but regarding the cost associated with foreign exchange students and capping that at 5. I'm not sure, and I understand that other districts do this, and it seems, I would like to kind of understand from a fiscal point of view, what is the impact that has on us? What are the resources that we're taking away from people before we?
Okay, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but basically I'm saying the fiscal impact on us for not,
Yeah,
by limiting the number of
by
students?
limiting from 10 to 12 down to 5.
I think it's more the resources, when we go over, you're saying going over 5?
Mm-hmm.
Just the amount of time that it takes our counselors to deal with the transcripts and our administrators working with the foreign exchange students. When you look at most other districts, they're at 5 or 4, that's where they cap them, and they're bigger than we are with their high schools. You know, I think it's more just the resources that it takes away from our students to deal with these students that are coming in from other countries, so.
Are we having, requests for that many foreign exchange students?
So historically, we did a waiver in 2017 for 5, it's a 3-year waiver, it's good for 3 years. Previous to that, we've had upwards to 10 to 12 foreign exchange. If there's not a cap on it, then you have to enroll any that comes out of your district. And so the caps allow us to be able to make scheduling decisions, FTEs, and say a lot of resources from the district level all over the campus and just supporting them, their endeavors. And you can request anywhere upwards to 1, and so forth. And so 5 is a number that we have worked with and has worked well with our size. I shared some surrounding district information. Ainsworth High School has limited theirs to 5 as well, and they're rather larger than we are in Arlington, limits theirs to 4 for high school enrollment. So, and 5 has worked well for us in being able to maintain those programs as well as our domestic students using resources.
So I think hearing that, I would like additional information as well, because I understand that maybe 10 or 12 was a large number. But again, like you're saying, Arlington has multiple campuses. And they're
That's per campus.
per campus, that's correct, it was per campus. When we're limiting it to 5, we only have 1 high school campus, and so to me, that seems kind of limiting as well. And I think there are coordinators from those various placement agencies who kind of can work with transcripts and that kind of stuff. So I would like to hear more as well, like how cumbersome really is it, or how time consuming is it really? Because I think we need to really balance that with the benefit of that cultural experience for those students and our students in the campus.
Okay, the procedure for where we are, that we have a motion to remove it from the consent agenda, so that's the first thing that, now we kind of understand the issues. So, there's been a motion, a second made to remove this item from the consent agenda. All those in favor of removing the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, the chair here is none opposed, so that item will be taken up separately. As to the remainder of the consent agenda, do we have a motion with regard to that item?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 8H.
A motion by Ms. Moody,
Second.
a second by Mr. Owens. Is there further discussion with regard to those items? Chair hears none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none. That motion passes unanimously. Now we take up the item with regard to the foreign exchange student waiver. Now the item has been removed from the agenda, consent agenda. Pardon?
Okay, that was removed from the consent agenda,
So
right?
now we're taking it up as a separate item, and we can take action on it separately now that it's not part of the consent agenda.
Okay,
Sorry, it's a little more complicated.
okay.
So now we can entertain motions. Do we, again, first off, you can make a motion to table, you can make a motion to delay, you can make a motion, if it's seconded, we'll vote on that. If there's not sufficient votes, it will continue on until there's a resolution.
So I'd like to make a motion that we table that and get more information and bring it up at a later meeting.
It's a motion by Ms. Douglas.
Second.
It's a second by Mr. Glovier. So is there discussion with regard to this item? Again, I think I raised the issue time. can we bring it up, are you comfortable bringing it up at the next meeting in June so that we can have the waiver addressed as quickly as possible, whatever that is?
Yes.
Is that possible from the staff's perspective? I mean, I think they're asking the cost, time, and those.
Yeah, what, I was gonna say, what are the specific questions? We wanna know how much it's gonna cost, we know, everything that you, I guess what you said is what Wibbs wants in writing. Do you want a presentation?
I think if you give
I
them.
don't know. I'm asking.
So I guess specifically, I'm just going off email here, you know, are we creating a financial and staffing hardship on ourselves currently when we have 10 to 12 people? Is that been a true hardship for us?
It was historically, yes. I think it would be now as well. The amount of time that it takes to, a lot of times they, as much as we ask for them to be fluent in English, those resources sometimes need to get pulled so that we can help them translate and utilize some services there. Transcripts, just translation in and of itself is very time consuming for one student, let alone five, and so that's counseling resources pulled for our domestic students. And then just being able to know the enrollment that's coming is very helpful with everything as far as FTEs, 10, the foreign exchange students, we shift one FTE for the high school campus. So those things, just not having prepared numbers for you or anything like that tonight. 5 is what we've had, and that's worked really well with our size high school. It supports that we can provide.
So maybe if we're asking for additional questions, right, that we would like answered?
I mean, we
Yeah.
can either have her supply the basic information, bring it up the next meeting on
Yes.
either consent or regular action item, assuming the board votes
Right.
to table the motion till next week. That's the next question.
Okay, because I would like additional information, like I think the students English proficiency exams can be with them. Is there a number that would be maybe less than 10 or 12, but more than 5, that could be accommodated easily? Some of those kinds of discussion items maybe for the June meeting, I'm thinking. Would be helpful.
I guess how are we supposed to weigh the cost, you know?
Again, I think, I would say if staff says we spend X number of man hours on a student, but every student's different, I'm assuming you can't really give me a good man number on it. I don't know how to answer the question, that's what
I'm really trying to figure out what data we're gonna bring to you that would suffice, so.
Well, basically, right now, we don't have, from what I'm understanding, we don't have anything. And they just want something in writing to say, we have this many students, it costs this much money. If this one student is the counselor, the data clerk, the principal, and 6 teachers. Is that what you all want?
Do you want the time?
I don't
Time
need
requirement?
anything.
Just based on what I've got here from our email earlier, when we said that it would create a financial and staffing hardship, I'm really trying to wrap my head around that, because
I believe it's the
I
time
think,
requirement that they have to devote to those students, it takes away from our students to process their paperwork, and Dr. Devlin can speak to more than
Those
that.
are the reasons in which you can file the waiver. Our
Yeah.
reasons are stating, like we stated, the pulling resources for our domestic students. If we don't limit the number, we can't plan accordingly knowing that we'll have no more than 5 foreign exchange students enrolled, then the shift will happen based off what we get in August or September, typically it's August with all the programs, and ideally earlier. So that is the goal of the waiver, is that we plan to provide enough services for foreign exchange students in addition to our domestic students.
And we're not saying we're not having foreign exchange students, we're just saying we're not gonna have an excessive amount of foreign exchange students in comparison to our size. And when you look at comparable or surrounding districts, they're larger schools and Arlington's more restrictive, and Mansfield is the same number. So I don't think that we are outside of the boundaries of what we're looking for.
So since we've talked about the district policy and stuff, can the policy not state a number so that it's not wide open, 10, 12, that has historically caused an issue, but more than 5? Because 5 seems a little restrictive.
I think 5 has been what has been historically.
Currently,
And I think
currently our waiver is 5.
Right.
So-
And our waiver lasts until the beginning of the school year.
Yes.
And if we don't have another waiver passed by the beginning of the school year, we will have no waiver, we have to take it all. That's what I understand our concern is.
Right.
So that's the concern, the timing of the issue. The motion we have is to basically to table this until June.
June.
And if the board votes for that, then we can direct what happens. If the board does not vote for that, then we can entertain a motion with regard to that, any other motion made on it. So the motion before the board right now is a motion to the table, the item with regard to the foreign exchange student waiver until June. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 I hear two. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
I hear four. The motion to table until,
I didn't vote.
oh, I'm sorry.
Because I don't understand, but you didn't ask for any further discussion, so that's why I guess I need to abstain.
Well, no, let's back, we can go back.
Okay.
Is there further discussion with regard to
Yes.
the motion to table?
If we wait until June, exactly what information do you want them to bring, is my question.
Really specifically outline the financial and staffing hardship is really what I wanted to understand, but it sounds more like it's taking away from our own. Is there any, I guess my question for you would be this, is can we meet in the middle? Is that more than 5, but maybe not 10 to 12? Is that possible?
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible with, if it involves money, but
It's qualitative, we're looking at qualitative data,
Yeah.
right? So you can't necessarily quantify the amount of time that a counselor's gonna spend calling to get the translation and then sitting and going line by line and figuring out the graduation requirements. Like a lot of things this year, it just takes time. The more we stretch our people, the less we're able to do for our domestic students. And so what you're saying about the cultural exposure and experiences is wonderful for our students, and which is why we want to have them.
Right.
The question that comes up is wanting to protect our staff and making sure that we're not giving them more than they already have. Maybe too much, because time is a finite resource, right? It's the one thing we can't get.
And that leads me to, how do we quantify, I don't know that we're going to be able to quantify it. That would be my concern. Is how do we quantify the time requirements that it takes our counselors?
It depends on the student.
So are there further questions or discussion with regard to the motion to table? I'll make sure I get it right. Now, I hear none. Then the motion on the floor is a motion to table. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I hear two, Ms. Douglas and Mr. Glovier. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
I hear three, Mr. Owens, Ms. Biscoe, and myself. Are there any abstentions?
Yes.
Okay, one abstention from Ms. Moody. The motion to table fails. Then I will entertain a motion with regard to the current request for waiver of a foreign exchange student as presented.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve the foreign exchange student waiver with the consent.
Motion by Mr. Owens.
second.
And a second by Mr. Biscoe. Is there further discussion with regard to the foreign exchange student waiver as presented? And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I hear three. That is Mr. Owens, Mr. Biscoe, and myself. All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
I hear two from Ms. Douglas and Mr. Glovier. Are there abstentions?
Yes.
One abstention from Ms. Moody. The motion, the waiver as requested, the motion for waiver as requested is passed. That brings us to item 9, informational items only, the Shack School Advisory Committee report.
Ms. Vossier, you're up.
Hello, I'm Teresa Vasquez, and I'm the district nurse. And I'm here to talk about the SHAC, which is the School Health Advisory Committee. If you would pass them, of course, I made your little packets. I understand that you received the two last packets in the back. but I also gave you a copy at the very top, a copy of the wellness policy in the district. I understand it's a new school board, so you may not have had a chance to read the wellness policy or know that we have a wellness policy, so that's why I printed it for y'all. And I know you've had a chance to read, oh, well, you received the assessment for the previous 3 years and also the annual report of what the SHAC committee accomplished for this past year. I'm not sure that you've had time to go over those 2 items. If you have read them already, do you have any questions about them? If you have not read them, I can go over it. So you let me know.
Are there questions with regard to the items?
I had one. As far as a school garden, have we actually thought about doing that, or
No, just go ahead and ask the question.
can we do a school garden?
We had one at Patterson, and that was several years ago. For those of you who do not know me, I've been in the district, I've just finished the 23rd year of being the school nurse here, and the 46th year of being a nurse, so. So I know a lot of stories. But Patterson had a garden, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know why it wasn't continued. I don't know if it was funds or supplies or what, but that would be a good question to ask the campus there. I know they've had changes in leadership, and a lot of times when leadership changes, things do not continue smoothly the way they've been going. They had leadership that had been there for many years, and then that leadership suddenly changed, and then we've had several changes. So I don't know if that's the reason why.
I would hazard the guess that it was tied to grant funding,
Yeah,
and they applied for a grant ran out, and
Yeah,
and probably not having a sponsor or somebody on campus to keep it going.
right.
Okay.
But there is no garden. The space is still there. It looks very sad.
Takes work to grow a garden.
The students did like it. And the one with the little lines, this is what's called the every 3-year assessment. Ours is a previous 4-year assessment because last year, when it was time to have this done, we had a little friend come and visit us and stay with us until this year. So a lot of things had to be kind of put on the back burner, and I applied for an extension on having to complete this assessment, and I had it granted until this year. So that's why it's coming up now. Okay. So far, we pretty much meet the wellness plan that we have as a school district. We do not use food as rewards, and we do not keep students indoors as punishment. Those are the 2 big things, is food and exercise, that the wellness plan tries to promote. So if they behave, they don't get a candy bar. And if they don't behave, the teacher cannot hold the students inside. So we cannot take recess away from them. Because those 2 things are necessary. And we want to promote a healthy attitude towards exercise and a healthy attitude towards food. Okay? So another thing we do not do is provide non-food items. We do have, I think it's like 6 days in the year that are exempt, where the school can run fundraisers with food items like chocolate bars and cookie dough and different things. But only on those days can those things can be promoted in the school. Otherwise, any food item cannot compete with the school meals. And if the teachers want to have a pizza party or something, they schedule them. I know at the high school, we schedule them at off times, not during the lunch hours. Okay? And the way I got all this information was I sent the questionnaire to every one of the principals in each one of the campuses, and they completed the questions that I had, and then I collected that information and put it into this format. In the second page, where it's number 7, progress report. There's a block there where we wrote goals. And in the computer, you can scroll down and read all of it. So what I did was, they won't show when you print the page. So I took those goals and put them in a regular piece of paper. And those are the goals for the next year or so. We have, we're looking at some added informational trainings. We are looking at different programs that educate students into sexual abstinence. We have nothing specific yet. We're looking and talking. And we plan to look and talk more this coming year. In number 2, we're looking to expand the nursing program into reaching out more into the community. Again, that is still in the talking points. So the purpose of SHAC is to promote wellness in the students so that when they graduate, they can leave us as well-informed as we can make them, so that they can be better prepared to face their future. And then the annual report is it says annual report at the top, and it begins with background. And then it tells you the requirements that every district needs to have a SHAC. And our district decided to assign that wellness plan to the SHAC committee. So that's what we do. We try to bring the values of the community into our schools so that we can all work together for the better of the students. And the organization, Mr. G, has chosen me to be, to coordinate SHAC. I don't run the SHAC, I'm the coordinator. So I make sure it's happening, schedule meetings, arrange for a location to meet, plan on agendas and bring agendas up. So this year, we pretty much had to kind of rebuild SHAC because through COVID, when I invited the group to the first meeting, I got 95% no thank you. So we had to start from the beginning again to invite not only the district employees, but also the students as well as the community. And I received a ton of, within the first day, I had all the responses I needed. I think I got like 42 responses of people that wanted to be part of it. And I put them through they had to fill out an application because I wanted to see why they wanted to be part of SHAC. And I'm the only one who read that application. Because I wanted to be, and I'm holding on to those applications because if there's ever, if anything ever comes up, I want to be able to go to that item and say, this is what you said you wanted to do. And this is the reason why we're doing this. So that to me seemed to work really well. So we've been able to then establish leadership, vote on different positions, namely the chairperson and the vice chairperson and the secretary. The first two positions have to be parents, and the secretary can be an employee of the district. So as you can see, there's a huge list of people that applied, and I have their positions, what they do, their function. Everyone is very excited to be part of it and very involved. So it actually has been a joy to put it together, even though I wasn't that excited to start up with. When Mr. G brought the great idea, I said, okay, all right. But after spending time with the group, it's been really enjoyable. It's still a challenge because I take it real seriously. I understand that it's a state requirement, that we need to comply with the law. So because of that, to me, it's challenging because I want to make sure I'm not missing or not doing something or not doing it good enough. But the rest of it you can read. Just want to assure you that we do have a SHAC in place. It's alive and well. We were able to meet 4 times this year. It was kind of compressed because the first semester took up the majority of my time on COVID. So I had to move those meetings to the second semester. We managed to get them all in. And the second semester, we were able to reestablish and organize all of it, put it to work, and I think I've given some homework to the members over the summer. And yeah, they have some homework. I want them to be very familiar with number 1, the wellness plan, and then the handbook from the Department of Health on how to build a SHAC. So they have to read those 2 items, and then they have to investigate a course or a training for the students that will promote sexual abstinence. So they have their hands full. And we'll meet again, and then we'll see how far we've gotten. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Then we're on to item 10, which is the superintendent's report.
You should all have the s'mores from the campus, all the activities. It's been a fun-filled couple of weeks of nonstop going and action. And been able to finalize the year with I think some very positive things that went on. Our end of the year celebration today it went over very well. Lots of positives came out of that, and lots of, I think, feel-good moments. So we also had graduation last night. I will point out that I don't know if people realize it, but we've had 2 graduations in Globe Life Park in less than 11 months. 11 months. So we feel like we were just there and back again. So we were able to accomplish some very good, something I think that was remarkable for our size district to be able to do that. But we held the first community meeting on the future planning and development of KISD on the 25th, I believe it was. There were 29 people in attendance here. We had some other activities going on last week with the junior high awards, and so some people that wanted to be here couldn't be here, so we recorded it, put it out. But 29 people, considering all the other activities are going on, it was pretty good. We had Sabino Martin from the city of Arlington. He's a civil engineer. He's working on the sublet expansion. He gave a short presentation on that, and then also on the impact that it will have on the district and community. I think the footprint will be relatively small. He also spoke about the 820, 287 corridor, the TxDOT project, and timelines for it. We presented information on approved developments and their locations, the number of units that we're expecting from it, and the projected timelines associated with those developments. Also presented information from the UTA study on demographic breakdowns and future projections. We discussed the next steps and next meeting for June, and set the next meeting for June 1st, which will be Tuesday when we get back from the holidays. It will be here in the media center at 6 p.m. We will have Robert Gavois from OBR doing the presentation on basically the thought process of where we've been working towards. And then the next meeting will be on the 22nd in the junior high cafeteria at 6 o'clock also. Sorry, I have the hiccups. And we will be breaking into some smaller groups and work session with that meeting. So we hopefully will have a recommendation to you, the board, hopefully by July board meeting, and the August one, if not July. So, looks like we're off to a good start there. We also have entered an agreement with Hazel Health. Ms. Vasquez's report made reference to teledoc services that we are looking at. We took a trip to visit Kaufman ISD, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, okay, and we went and Mr. Holguin, Ms. Rabelais, Ms. Knotts from Delaney, and myself went and visited with them, and very positive review of what they were doing with it. And basically there's no cost to the district, but it's an added benefit for our families and for our students to be able to have teledoc services both at school and at home. So I've signed that MOU, and we should be in good shape kicking off that with Mr. Holguin will be, did we have a meeting with them, with the rep?
You did this morning.
Okay, so we're all good to go. We also entered in an agreement with Charleston State University to benefit our students. I gave you some information in your packet that will benefit our top 25 students with guaranteed scholarships if they attend Charleston State University. So basically it's a win-win. It's a win for our students, and it's a win for Charleston to increase their student numbers. And they made a release, and our board meeting was supposed to be on the 20th, so they released their statement a little sooner than we released ours. And then, as I said, had a very positive day today and lots of good things going on. So that's about it. And I'm tired.
Okay.
And that moves us to item 11, board discussion. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for June 17th. That's still a go. Any problem with that date?
Don't we have the TASB?
TASB is June 24, 25.
Okay.
I mean, that's a summer.
Any update on that?
Yes, so TASB is virtual for us, so what happens is they get reported and you have up to 30 days to process. So I'm gonna get everyone registered, but I wasn't in a huge rush because you're not gonna do your session selection like you normally do.
Picking
You have up to 30 days to watch.
That's probably better, because sometimes you can't see them all. Things you want to go to, they oftentimes double up, so you can
That
do
is the one benefit of virtual, is that you can attend more sessions. So.
Then you can pause and walk out and come back.
We need to discuss local district orientation. Is that something that you're working on?
Yes,
Okay.
I just didn't know what date, we have to do it within a certain amount of days, so, and I know several people need it, so just whenever you all like plan it.
So do y'all want to, how do y'all want to, those who need the training, do you want them to contact you and just throw out some dates, or how do you want to do that?
We can do that.
Do y'all prefer to do it like in small groups, or do you want to do it in one large group where we have to call a board meeting for it?
Just
How many
School
need it?
budget.
It's 3 hours, and we can do it in smaller groups where we don't have to have a board
The
meeting.
4 of us need it?
Okay.
Or
4 have to do it. Oh, I forgot. Ms. Villarreal's not here, sorry. It may be, I think there's some benefit doing it together if y'all can do that, kind of force you to get it done.
Yeah.
But that would require us to call a board meeting.
Do you want to do it in June, or do you want to do it in July? What do y'all think your calendars look like better? I think we're good in July still, aren't they? Is it 90 days or 180? I can't remember how many days it is.
We have the regular board meeting on the 17th. We could do it the following week. And
June 24th? That's when TASB starts. We were talking about doing a dinner one of those nights, weren't we?
I have a conference on June 24th.
Well, let's, is it better for June or July? That's the first question. Those who are going to have to do it, do you have any ideas?
I prefer June.
I'm still at work. He's out.
School's out.
Lucky Steph.
Right.
Later in June then? Like,
June works.
okay. So why don't we just look at a calendar date that we can schedule a meeting and call a regular board meeting, we'll start and do what they need to do since all five of them will be here. And just notice this, it's 3 hours? That'll work? Okay. And then we had a brief discussion on TASB summer leadership. Are there any other items for discussion among board members? Well, I'd like to welcome our 2 new board members that are here tonight. I know Ms. Villarreal did say that she lost her grandma, and so that's more important than this. So she take care of family. And appreciate y'all's diligence. We already had some difficult issues today. I appreciate you working through them. But welcome aboard. And if we have no other items to discuss, we are adjourned at 9:05.